Hello, I am Shayla Stahl, and I observed a 6th grade teacher at Kirkland Middle School. The teacher I observed currently teaches English language arts. The teacher always arrives to school at least 45 minutes before the students are set to come into her classroom. Her day normally starts off by walking to the front office and signing in, checking her mailbox and grabbing a cup of coffee if she doesn't stop by Starbucks to grab one before she gets there. After that, she makes sure that she has plenty of copies of the day's work so that she doesn't have to interrupt her class to stop and make copies. She then logs into her computer and begins checking her emails. That's a long and tedious task. It usually takes her 20 to 30 minutes. She normally has 2 to 3 emails from parents, 2 to 3 emails from the school about reminders and announcements, and other emails that she has to respond to in a timely manner. One of the most important qualities of a teacher is being able to clear and efficiently communicate with parents, students, and fellow teachers. In her response to parents and coworkers, she must ensure that she gives correct, clear information so that her students can succeed to the best of their abilities. By 8:05, the students begin shuffling into the classroom. She always has their warm-up posted on the smartboard. The smartboard it's a really cool feature. It's an interactive whiteboard. You can say you need to show them a website. You can go to a website and it will display on the smartboard. And it's probably about the size of my TV right here. But you can do lots of things. Like you can have Word on your computer and it will show on the whiteboard and stuff like that. It's a really cool feature that they've got to the kids now. She has everything ready for them to begin when they walk into the door. At the beginning of the year, it's important to establish a clear and ongoing routine for students to follow so that they know the expectations for them each day. It's good to give them stuff that they know what they have to accomplish and when they have to accomplish them. It also helps prepare them for 7th, 8th grade and high school as well. When the students come in, it's time for them to sit down and get to work. After we go over the warm-up, it is time to begin the daily lesson. Currently, we're learning about metaphors, similes, onomatopoeia. The teacher divided students into groups based on ability level and then gave each of them a task to complete in a timely manner. Once the group found all of the similes in a poem, the next group identified all of the metaphors. Then the third group identified something else, and so on and so on. And the last group identifies all the cases of onomatopoeia in the poem. The teacher then instructed each group to come up with their own examples of each type of figurative language, which sounds really easy, but it's not, because I had a hard time doing it too. The students were engaged and seemed to be really enjoying the lesson that they had. The teacher walked around the room. She doesn't really get a chance to sit down at all very much, and it's really hard to take a bathroom break. She maybe gets to go once a day. What she does is she acts as a facilitator for instruction. She makes sure that they all stay on task, that they're all doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then they're not doing other things like playing on their phones, because the kids are allowed to have their phones and stuff like that. It's really not good for educational purposes, because we all know Google is a good way to just find answers out quickly instead of having to do the research for them. At 10:30 a.m., it's time to make the students to lunch. It seems like it's an early lunch for me, but that's what time they start. The lunchroom was full of other 6th grade students. The teachers all sat in the middle of the cafeteria, and at their lunch break, they have to monitor the students. They don't get any kind of break from the students throughout the day. After lunch, they go back to the classroom for probably about 15 to 20 more minutes of instruction before they are dismissed to connections. While the students were at connections, and connections is like music, PE, chorus, things like that. The teachers meet in content areas, groups, to plan for the upcoming week, which means they're in teams. There are 4 teachers to each team, and that's the students stay within those 4 teachers, and each teacher teaches a different subject. After planning, some teachers make copies and others took the time to go to the restroom, or that's when they eat their lunches, because when you're sitting there monitoring kids eating lunches, it's very hard to eat your lunch because you're up and down, up and down, up and down. Once the students come back for their connection classes, the same figurative language lesson was taught. All of the students really seemed to enjoy the class, and they said that they could better understand figurative language after completing the task. Once she explained it, went over it with them, and told them what answers were right, what answers were wrong, and why they were wrong. At the end of the day, the teacher asked for some volunteers to help her with various chores around the classroom. Some students straightened the desks, stacked chairs, made sure the computers were turned off, and just helped to tidy up the room in general. Once all of the students were gone for the day, there are 3 types of dismissal. You can dismiss by car riders, you can dismiss by first bus load and second bus load. There usually is a faculty meeting at the end of the day. They don't just to go home when the students are gone. They have things that they have to get done. All of the teachers meet in the cafeteria to hear important announcements and stuff like that. Things that the school and the school system has them go over. The school's principal is usually the one who facilitates this. After the meeting, teachers are free to go home, finally, after a long day. If a teacher is a coach for an extracurricular activity, though, that's when the teacher will do that. If they coach cheerleading, softball, baseball, football, lacrosse, that's when they'll go do that. Shadowing a teacher really made me have a lot more respect for educators, and I also was a substitute teacher for a while, so I really have respect for teachers and the job that they do every day. A teacher's work is never done. They never get a break. I've observed many teachers taking home work to complete before the next morning, and that's when they grade their papers. Normally when you have a job, you get to leave that job and you don't have to take it home. Teachers don't get that. They have emails and phone calls from various people at night, and they also have papers to grade because these kids have to get their papers back in a timely fashion. Teachers work so hard every day for their students. I couldn't believe how well Kayla modified the instruction for each class based on the class's need. She has 6 classes in a day, and that means that she teaches 4. The kids have 6 classes, she teaches 4 classes of students, and each of those groups are at different learning levels. So one group might learn faster than the other group. I think she actually does 5. She may do 5. But one group may learn faster, one group may learn slower, so you have to accommodate each class like that. The teacher told me that she must ensure that all learners can learn the content, so you can't teach class the same way. Like I said, every class has to be taught differently, and I really admire the dedication that she has to her students. She is a language arts teacher, and she also does reading, and one of the books they're reading right now is The Wonderful World of Oz, and it's a really good book. Most of the books, she has to buy herself, and so they try to take really good care of them, but her students will read she'll either read a chapter or 2 a day to her students, or they will take turns reading out loud. Like one student may read, and I'll just briefly show you. One student may read chapter 1, The Cyclone. Dorothy lived in the midst of the great Kansas prairies with Uncle Henry, who was a farmer, and Aunt Em, who was the farmer's wife. Their house was small. For the lumber to build it had to be carried by wagon many miles. And then the next student would then do 3 sentences, or they may do it by paragraph. But teachers really they have to go the extra mile for their kids, and it's a really good profession, and we should be more thankful for our teachers that we have out there.